That's Marianne's keepsake. How could it be in a stranger's hands? His phone vibrated, and a message popped up. No matter how beautiful the sunset in Beverly Hills is, it can't warm an empty seashell. He remembered Marianne's last words before she died, and somehow replied, Sunday at 3, meet at the hotel. He thought it was a belated comfort, never knowing that on the other side of the screen, his daughter-in-law Ella was sneering at her husband Jason's voice recorder. This hunt baited with love was destined to be bloody from the moment she posed as the lonely sunset. Richard Howard's fingers hovered over the iPad screen for 3 seconds. The sunset over Beverly Hills streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, dyeing the great patterns on the Persian carpet amber. The platinum cufflinks of his custom suit reflected Hemingway's words on the screen, "A man can be destroyed but not defeated." He tapped the edge of the screen lightly with his knuckles, a habit from his younger days before negotiations. Now, the age spots on his joints lent the gesture a touch of stiffness. Send, his voice deeper than whiskey. The sentence in the message box fell like a feather into the chat window, named Lonely Sunset. Your Lafroig 18, sir. The butler John placed the crystal glass on the gilded side table. The clink of ice echoed through the 5-meter-high living room, startling the canary perched by the fireplace. The liquor at the bottom of the glass swirled into tiny eddies. Richard stared at the whirls, suddenly remembering Marianne used to say unspoken words hide in eddies. He waved John away. Before his fingertips left the glass, his phone vibrated. The avatar of Lonely Sunset popped up. It was a backlit profile, the woman's hair tangled with a silver chain, the pendant hidden in her collar, only half a jagged break visible. The old man and the sea? I thought people nowadays are too busy scrolling short videos to remember the weight of a book. A faint line curved at Richard's mouth. When he registered the account California Gentleman 28 days ago, he'd deliberately chosen a photo of himself skiing in Aspen 20 years prior. Back then, his jawline was as sharp as a Swiss Army knife, not a hint of gray at his temples. He typed slowly, his knuckles stiff from years of holding a golf club. So you're not one of nowadays people? Before sending, he enlarged the avatar on a whim. The broken end of the silver chain in her hair was identical to the half pendant in Marianne's keepsake box. The sound of splashing water came from the pool. A magenta bikini flashed past the glass door like a flame. Richard slammed his phone face down on his knee, the hem of his suit brushing the carpet. The gesture reminded him of his 60th birthday party, when Jason raised a champagne glass and said, "Father will always be our life benchmark." The calculation in his eyes was all too familiar, just like when he'd stared at Marianne's swollen belly years before. My life stopped 2 years ago. The message from Lonely Sunset arrived quickly, attached to a new photo, the woman sitting outside a shabby laundromat, clutching a faded baby onesie. Since my husband went to prison, even watching a complete sunset has become a luxury. Richard stared at the onesie. The stitched H on the cuff was the same hand-embroidered pattern used by the Howard family's old nanny. His throat tightened suddenly. Richard unbuttoned the top button of his shirt, revealing a faint scar on his neck. One Marianne had sliced with a letter opener during her 3rd miscarriage. He remembered her playing with her hair like this on her deathbed, twisting the silver pendant between her fingers, saying, when the baby comes back, she must wear the complete pendant. The wine cabinet glass reflected his graying temples. Somehow, he added, "Want to hear what real luxury is? After my wife passed away, all the whiskey in the cellar turned bitter. Even the ice freezes her name." A door slammed upstairs. Wet footprints like ink blots stretched from the spiral staircase to the living room. Ella's bathrobe belt hung loosely, water droplets from her hair dripping onto the carpet, spreading into small dark circles. Drinking single malt again? Her voice was softer than usual, her fingertips unconsciously brushing the pocket of her bathrobe, where an encrypted phone was hidden. The screen still lit up with the California Gentleman chat. "Jason says it's bad for your heart. The physical exam report last week. How's the New Year project going?" Richard didn't look up, his thumbs swiping quickly to save Lonely Sunset's photo to an encrypted album. Ella's perfume wafted over. Tom Ford's cherry smoke, the same scent Marianne had worn in her final days. Did the SEC approval get held up? It's delayed. Ella brushed back her blonde hair, a few drops falling on Richard's trousers. They say they need to check blockchain compliance. Her gaze flicked to the phone on the old man's knee, her eyelashes trembling. Last night, Jason had slammed her family's debt list on the table, saying either get the password to Richard's study vault or watch your brother's company go bankrupt. The phone in her bathrobe pocket suddenly grew hot. She clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms. Only when the footsteps faded at the top of the stairs did Richard exhale. 3 new messages appeared in the chat. "Sometimes I feel like a seashell washed ashore. The sun makes it look intact, but the waves have long hollowed it out." He stared at the metaphor for a long time. When the grandfather clock struck 7, his thumb brushed the woman's hair on the screen. "Sunday at 3, Beverly Wilshire Hotel. We could talk about how Hemingway described tides and the pendant. The phone lit up immediately. I thought California gentlemen met at art galleries or basements with Monet originals. The water lilies in the basement always lack the smell of sea breeze. As Richard pressed send, his heart suddenly raced. This was the first time emotion had broken through the numbness in his chest since Marion died. The moonlight shimmering on the pool suddenly felt harsh. He stood up to draw the sheer curtains, his knuckles brushing the small bell hanging from the curtain cord. The favorite toy of Lisa, their daughter, when she was little, in the third-floor bedroom. Ella threw her wet towel into the laundry basket, pausing for a moment at the hidden compartment in her vanity. Inside were two phones. One hers, the other an encrypted device Jason had given her. As she unlocked the screen, a message from California gentleman popped up, looking forward to meeting the real you and the pendant in your hair. The vanity mirror reflected her tight jaw. The Hermes scarf Jason had sent from Tokyo last week still lay in its unopened box, the satin bow like a dying butterfly. She ran her finger along the ribbon, then suddenly tore it off. Last time Jason had pulled her hair like this was because she hadn't gotten the password to Richard's study. Staring at the broken ribbon, Ella's fingers trembled. She grabbed the encrypted phone and typed quickly, "I have to attend a charity gala on Sunday. The organizers require formal attire, and I don't know what to wear." After sending, she threw the phone onto the bed as if it were red hot. She was afraid that if she hesitated even a second longer, she'd reveal she didn't know anything about the pendant. Formal attire for lonely sunset. California gentleman's reply carried a hint of teasing. Ella could imagine the old man raising his eyebrows on the other side of the screen, just like when Richard had commented on the Napa Valley red wine she'd chosen at last week's family dinner. Scrutiny hidden in the fine lines at the corners of his eyes. She bit her lip as she typed, her nails leaving marks on the screen. "It's for the Children's Cancer Foundation. I'm attending on behalf of the Howard family." After thinking for a moment, she pulled up a photo from last year's gala. Jason's hand resting loosely on her waist, like displaying jewelry in a window. "The dress I wore last year was too plain. This time, I want to pair it with a pearl necklace." The pearl necklace was a third wedding anniversary gift. Jason had said over a video call from Tokyo, picking gifts is more tiring than merger negotiations, but he hadn't mentioned that a tiny voice recorder was hidden in the clasp. "A pearl necklace would suit you well." Richard's reply made Ella's chest feel tight. She touched the pearls around her neck, her fingertips brushing the small gap in the clasp. The voice recorder hidden there pressed against her skin. Last night, Jason had specifically instructed her to let Richard see this necklace. "He'll think of Marianne when he sees it. Maybe he'll take you to the study." The sound of a car engine came from downstairs, the deep rumble of a Bentley. Ella rushed to the window, watching as the black Bentley reversed into the driveway, its license plate from New York. Jason had come back 3 days early. She grabbed both phones and stuffed them into the deepest part of the vanity's hidden compartment, covering the exposed charging cable with a makeup brush. Her lipstick slipped from her hand, rolling onto the carpet. The cherry smoke-scented lipstick smudged on the beige cashmere, like a drop of congealed blood. "Darling." Jason's voice approached, accompanied by the sound of rolling luggage wheels. The impatience in his voice was familiar, the same as when he'd failed a merger negotiation. Ella kicked the lipstick under the bed with her foot. As she turned around, her bathrobe belt came completely undone, revealing a faint scar on her back. One she'd gotten last year when Richard's bodyguard had hit her with a golf club while she was trying to steal the study key. Jason stood in the doorway, his tie hanging loosely, the lining of his suit jacket exposed, embroidered with the name of a Tokyo dry cleaner. His gaze swept over his wife's wet hair, then landed on the empty wine glass on the vanity. The New York project fell through. Those idiots don't understand blockchain fund flows at all. He threw his suit jacket onto the armchair, revealing a voice recorder in his shirt pocket, the same model as the one in Ella's necklace clasp. Ella walked over to help him undo his tie, her fingertips deliberately brushing his Adam's apple. It was one of the few reconciliation signals in their marriage, though both knew it was just pretense. "What a shame," she said, raising her voice so Jason could hear. "Laura was going to introduce you to her husband." She hung the dress back on the hanger, hearing the sound of pen on paper outside the door. What was Jason writing down? There was silence outside for a few seconds. "Help me pick a tie," Jason suddenly said, the tension in his voice easing slightly. "I have a meeting with senators in New York. It needs to be formal." Ella breathed a sigh of relief. As she turned around, she didn't notice that Jason had taken a photo of the charging cable peeking out of the vanity's hidden compartment with his phone. Late at night, Ella pretended to be woken by Jason's snoring. She groped her way to the vanity by moonlight. The encrypted phone in the hidden compartment was vibrating. California gentleman had sent a message. "Don't go to the hotel lobby on Sunday. Meet me in the underground garage. My car is a silver Phantom, license plate ending with 7912, Marianne's birthday." Moonlight shone on Jason's open suitcase. Inside, neatly stacked, were not business documents, but a faded baby onesie, identical to the one in Lonely Sunset's photo. Ella's breath caught in her throat. She reached out to touch the cuff of the onesie, and sure enough, there was the stitched H. On the inside of the hem, embroidered in faded blue thread, was the character Lee, Lisa's nickname. She suddenly remembered that what she'd seen peeking out of Jason's suit pocket that morning wasn't a dry cleaner's tag, but a Beverly Wilshire hotel key card. The card holder was printed with 2807, the same suite she and Jason had stayed in for their wedding anniversary last year. Her fingertips hovered over the encrypted phone screen, the silver Phantom's license plate swirling in her pupils. She stared at the exposed charging cable, suddenly hearing the sound of luggage wheels rolling across the marble floor downstairs. Jason wasn't asleep. Leaving so early, Ella opened the bedroom door, seeing Jason adjusting his cufflinks in the hallway. He was wearing a dark gray suit she'd never seen before, his tie pin glinting coldly, engraved with a V. Jason didn't look up, his leather shoes making no sound on the carpet. The private jet departs at 7. The meeting in New York was rescheduled. He bent down to tie his shoelaces, his movements stiff. Ella noticed a bruise on his ankle, common among FBI anti-corruption agents, as she'd seen in her brother's police academy textbooks. "Shall I wake John to prepare coffee?" Ella touched the pearl necklace around her neck, the voice recorder in the clasp digging into her skin. "No need." Jason picked up his briefcase, the metal clasp clicking sharply. "Aren't you attending the charity gala tonight?" The corner of his mouth twitched, exactly like Richard's expression when he was young. "Remember to give my regards to Laura, and take a look around Richard's study for me. See if there are any old documents from 1987. As soon as the door closed, Ella rushed back to the vanity, shoving both the encrypted phone and her own phone into the deepest part of the hidden compartment, then covering them with a powder compact. When she stood up, she saw her reflection in the mirror. Pale face, dark circles under her eyes, like a tightrope walker, ready to fall into the abyss at any moment. In the elevator of the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, Ella checked her lipstick for the third time. Tom Ford Cherry Smoke, the color Richard had praised at dinner last week. The mirror reflected her tight jawline, the pearl necklace around her neck glowing coldly. The voice recorder in the clasp was running, its red indicator light hidden between the pearls, like a tiny heartbeat. 2807, she murmured to the elevator buttons. The cold touch of her fingertips reminded her of Jason's gaze that morning. Not suspicion, but confirmation, just like when he'd been certain a merger would succeed. The hallway carpet was thick as grass, absorbing the sound of her high heels. Ella stood in front of room 2807. As she took a deep breath, the mix of perfume and leather handbags suddenly made her nauseous. It was Richard's cologne, the same brand as the perfume bottle in Marianne's keepsakes. Before her raised hand could touch the doorbell, the door opened. Richard Howard froze mid-air, a white rose in his hand. Water droplets from the petals fell onto the carpet. He was wearing a navy blue suit, Marianne's favorite style, with a silver tie pin on his tie, their engagement token. Ella's gaze fell on the tie pin, suddenly realizing that the broken end of the silver pendant in the Lonely Sunset avatar matched the pattern of the tie pin perfectly. "Children's Cancer Foundation." Richard's voice sounded like it had been rubbed with sandpaper. His gaze swept over the diamond studs in Ella's ears, gifts he'd given Marianne for her 60th birthday, which had disappeared under the bedroom carpet the day Marianne fell to her death. "Or are you here to get the password to the study vault?" Ella's handbag fell to the floor, her lipstick rolling out. The cherry smoke-scented lipstick smudged on the carpet. Her throat tightened. The clasp of the pearl necklace suddenly came undone, and a pearl rolled to Richard's feet. "How did you know?" The sound of a camera shutter suddenly exploded from the shadows like a gunshot. Jason rushed out of the fire escape, the V on his tie pin glinting coldly. The wind from his fist knocked the rose out of Richard's hand, and the petals fell onto Ella's bathrobe like splatters of blood. "Should I call you Lonely Sunset or Mrs. Howard?" Jason grabbed Ella's hair, forcing her face toward the camera. She smelled an unfamiliar perfume on his sleeve, Chanel No. 5, the scent Vivian often wore. "Or should I call you Chene Isla, the girl who escaped from a Southeast Asian orphanage 15 years ago?" Richard crashed into the hallway mirror, shattering it. Shards of glass cut his knuckles. The man who had once broken his driver's knee with a golf club now spoke with a trembling voice. "Stop. She doesn't know the truth. It's me. What about you?" Jason threw Ella onto the scarlet carpet, tearing open his shirt sleeve to reveal a tattoo on his forearm, the exclusive mark of the FBI anti-corruption unit. "Did you make her pose as Lonely Sunset, or did you know all along she wasn't Ella?" He kicked away the handkerchief Richard offered, the embroidered H on it getting crushed under his shoe. "Your cellar doesn't just hold bitter wine. It also hides medical records from 1987, doesn't it?" Paparazzi flashbulbs squeezed through the crack in the door, slicing across the three faces. Ella watched as the pearl necklace snapped completely, pearls rolling everywhere. One rolled to Richard's feet. As he bent down to pick it up, a yellowed photo fell from his suit pocket, a photo of a newborn baby girl with a butterfly-shaped birthmark on her wrist, clutching a half-silver pendant. Lisa. Richard's fingers trembled along the edge of the photo. Tears fell onto the yellowed paper. He suddenly remembered the photo frame Marianne had smashed during her postpartum depression, when glass shards had scratched the baby's wrist, leaving a faint scar. "Where have you hidden her?" Jason dragged Ella up. Her bathrobe belt fell open, revealing a butterfly tattoo on the inside of her thigh, a temporary tattoo covering an old scar. Under the real skin lay a birthmark identical to the one on the baby in the photo. "Game over, father." He threw his phone in front of Richard. On the screen was a DNA test report, the red words at the bottom stark. Sample provider 1, Richard Howard. Sample provider 2, Lisa Chun, Brooklyn. Match rate, 99.99%. Siren sounds approached in the distance. Ella suddenly noticed that Jason's wedding ring was gone, leaving a fresh scab where the ring had been. He'd deliberately scraped it off last night to make Richard notice. She remembered the unfamiliar perfume she'd smelled that morning. It wasn't Vivian's. It was the distinctive disinfectant scent of the FBI evidence room. Jason hadn't gone to New York last night. He'd gone to the evidence warehouse to retrieve Marianne's autopsy report. Paternity test. Richard stroked the baby's face in the photo, tears dripping onto the yellowed paper. "That's impossible. After Marianne's third miscarriage, the doctor said the baby didn't survive." "That nurse, Nurse Vivian?" Jason cut him off, pulling up a blurry surveillance video on his phone. In the footage, a younger Richard was dragging Marianne by her hair, slamming her head against the wine cabinet. Glass shards scattered everywhere. Marianne's swollen belly hit the corner of the cabinet, blood streaming down her skirt. She wasn't a nurse. She was Marianne's distant cousin, who witnessed your domestic violence firsthand. So she deliberately swapped the babies, sending Lisa to an orphanage in Southeast Asia and giving you a stillborn baby instead. Ella tomó kombucha. She remembered Richard's expression when he'd said, "The cellar turned bitter," last week. Back then, she'd thought it was grief. Now she understood it was fear. Marianne's blood still hid in the wooden planks of the wine cabinet. When the detention room door opened, Vivian Howard walked in wearing 12-centimeter Louboutins, her heels crushing the scattered pearls with a crisp sound. Behind her was a team of lawyers, their briefcases emblazoned with the H family crest. Inside one of the cases was Marianne's will. According to Article 7 of the Howard Family Charter, Vivian turned her tablet toward Richard. On the screen was an equity freeze document, signed at the bottom with Marianne's electronic signature, one she'd created using a template of Marianne's handwriting. "During the criminal investigation, all your voting rights will be held by the board of directors, including your shares in the Southeast Asian casinos." Richard's pupils contracted. He stared at Marianne's name on the tablet, suddenly remembering the night before her fall. She'd been sitting in the wine cellar, clutching a half-silver pendant, saying, "Vivian will help me finish what I started." "You tampered with the medical records." He struggled to grab the tablet, his cufflinks scratching the lawyer's chin. Marianne only had 2 miscarriages. The third was deliberate. Vivian adjusted her scarf slowly, the water lily pattern on it Marianne's favorite. "You were afraid she'd have a daughter and threaten your power in the family. So you hit her stomach with a golf club and forged a miscarriage certificate." She glanced at Ella, her gaze landing on the tattoo on her thigh. "Ella's birthmark is identical to Lisa's. You chose her as your daughter-in-law because of that, didn't you?" Jason suddenly grabbed Ella's wrist, pressing her hand against the tablet's fingerprint scanner. The screen lit up, displaying Ella's true identity. Chun Aila, also known as Lisa Chun, born September 12, 1987, at a Los Angeles hospital, abducted to a Southeast Asian orphanage in 1992. Ella's nails dug into her palm, blood droplets falling onto the tablet screen. She remembered the tattoo artist in the Chicago hotel, who'd said this butterfly pattern is really special, like a birthmark. She'd lied and said it was a mark left by her grandmother, never knowing it was covering her own birthmark. The detention room air conditioner made her knees tremble. The scattered pearls rolled across the floor, their sound like a countdown. The nurse who swapped the babies was actually your mother's best friend. Vivian knelt down to look at Ella. She died of a drug overdose last year, killed by Richard's men because she knew too much about the child trafficking at the orphanage. She opened the lawyer's briefcase, taking out a velvet box containing a half-silver pendant. "This is the other half your mother left behind. When she sent you away, she broke the pendant in 2, saying when you came back, she wanted you to wear the complete pendant to see her." Ella's hands trembled as she took the velvet box. The 2 halves of the pendant fit together perfectly, forming a complete water lily. Engraved on the inside were the words, "To Lisa, Mommy loves you forever." Marianne's handwriting, identical to the one in her diary. The board of directors is holding an emergency meeting at 9. Vivian stood up, her high heels crushing a few more pearls. "Lisa, as the sole heir to the Howard family, you need to be present." She looked at Richard, a sneer curving her mouth. "As for you, stay here and wait for the FBI to investigate your child trafficking ring at the Southeast Asian orphanages." Jason stood up too. As he adjusted his suit, Ella noticed the V on his tie pin. Not for Vivian, but for justice. She suddenly laughed, the sound echoing in the detention room like a shattered champagne glass. "You knew all along I was Lisa, didn't you?" This was all a setup from the moment Jason approached me. Vivian didn't deny it. She simply took out Marianne's diary from her bag, flipping to the entry dated September 12, 1987. In her diary, your mother wrote that if you ever came back, she wanted you to stay away from the darkness of the Howard family. She handed the diary to Ella. "We searched for you for 26 years until last year when we saw the half pendant around your neck at a convenience store in Brooklyn." As the police officer put handcuffs on Richard, he suddenly grabbed Ella's hand. The ferocity was gone from his eyes, replaced only by remorse. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have, back then. It's too late." Ella pulled her hand away, clutching the two halves of the pendant in her palm. "Mommy said a man can be destroyed but not defeated, but you were already destroyed by power and darkness long ago." When the detention room door closed, Ella looked out the window at the sunlight. She suddenly thought of Carlos from the Brooklyn convenience store. She took out her phone, wanted to send him a message, but saw a news notification. Carlos, a clerk at a Brooklyn convenience store, was found dead in the store this morning, suspected of involvement in child trafficking. Cause of death, cyanide poisoning. Ella's heart sank. She remembered the day she'd left the convenience store, how Carlos had secretly slipped the half pendant into her overalls pocket, handing her a note that said, "This thing looks valuable. Keep it safe, don't let anyone take it." Now, she realized Carlos had known her identity all along. He was Vivian's man, placed at the convenience store to protect her. Her phone vibrated again. It was a message from Vivian. "Carlos was one of mine. He was killed by Richard's men to protect you. Lisa, your mother's last wish wasn't just for you to inherit the family fortune. It was for you to destroy the darkness of the Howard family." Ella gripped her phone tightly, her thumb brushing Carlos's photo on the screen. She remembered the stacks of oatmeal at the convenience store, Carlos's greasy bangs, the joke he'd made about this pendant could pay 6 months' rent. Tears fell onto the phone screen. She suddenly understood that the justice Marianne had spoken of wasn't revenge. It was for all children like her, abducted and lost, to find their way home. The sun set again over Beverly Hills. This time, there was no Persian carpet, no custom suit, only the silver pendant in Ella's hand, glowing in the sunset. It was Marianne's gaze, Carlos's protection, and all the hope that hadn't been swallowed by darkness.